Clownfish are, without doubt, the most popular saltwater aquarium fish. Pretty much everybody who started keeping marine fish has started with a little pair of clownfish. It's even the reason why a lot of people begin to keep marine fish in the first place. Everybody knows Nemo, everybody wants to keep Nemo, but are they actually any good as pets? Well, that's what we're going to be looking at in this video. If you are new to keeping saltwater fish, then this is a great video for you to watch, because I'm going to go through everything about these guys from the experience of actually keeping them as a saltwater hobbyist. So let's begin with care. Are clownfish easy to keep? Well, the answer is they are actually really easy to keep. But there's a caveat to that. To keep clownfish, you need to keep saltwater aquaria. Many people start off in the hobby keeping freshwater aquariums, and then they move on to saltwater aquaria to keep these kind of fish, as I mentioned, clownfish. This particular pair are a pair of midnight clowns, but they are the same species as the ones we were just looking at. I'll get onto species in a moment. But in terms of care, the first big thing you need to realise is obviously they are saltwater, not freshwater. So they are hard to keep in that respect. You have to learn how to keep a saltwater aquarium, which isn't difficult. If you've kept fish before, then it's not really much more difficult than keeping a freshwater tank. On that basis, I'm going to assume you know how to keep a saltwater aquarium in this video, and I'm just going to tell you the rest of the story when it comes to clownfish. Let's talk about these fish in particular. Are they difficult to keep? Well, no, they are actually one of the most tolerant and easy fish that you can begin with. Clownfish are in fact a type of damselfish, and if you speak to any saltwater aquarium hobbyist, they will tell you that damselfish are tough as old boots and pretty much can put up with a lot of abuse. Not that I'm suggesting that you should abuse them. All I'm suggesting is that if you perhaps aren't on top of your water quality as well as you should be, there's a lower chance of these guys snuffing it than if you keep less tolerant fish. So what I'm saying is they're a bit hardier for the new aquarist, the new hobbyist, to develop your saltwater fish keeping skills. In terms of tank size, a lot of people will try and keep clownfish in tanks which are too small. That's one of the misconceptions about clownfish, is that they don't really require a big tank. And you'll probably find them on sale in your local fish shop quite small. They'll be juveniles. The guy I was trying to show you at the back there, that yellow goby, sometimes you can even find juvenile clownfish in a shop the size of that. And then that leads people to think you can start them off in a small tank and then put them in a larger tank. Well, to some extent you can, but what a lot of people then fail to do is move them onto a larger tank. So I would suggest that you start your clownfish in the tank that they end up in, and that would be a minimum of around 90 litres. 90 litres tends to be a decent size for a pair of clownfish to live their entire lives, but obviously bigger is better, and at that size you won't be able to add much more. So you've done your research, you know how to keep a saltwater aquarium, and you have bought the suitable size tank for your fish. In terms of filtration, what do you need for a pair of clownfish? Well, I like to run marine tanks in quite minimal ways, so you can use an internal filter. You can use an external filter as well if you want to. You don't need a sump to keep these guys. You don't need really a skimmer to keep these guys. That's all just for coral. You can essentially keep clownfish in a normal tropical aquarium without having to buy anything else. They'll be perfectly happy so long as you have a heater and you keep on top of your water quality through doing water changes and so on and so forth. They will be totally happy. But what else do you need to do to clownfish? You're going to need to feed them. Now that's one of the things which people can get a little bit confused about when it comes to saltwater fish, because saltwater fish, people assume all you can feed them is things like brine shrimp, mysis, all that good frozen food. But actually, clownfish, especially these tank bred ones, we'll go into that in a minute, are really quite forgiving on what you feed them. So I feed all of my marine fish a mixture of flake. The brand of flake I use is Fluval Bug Bites. It's a really good nutritious food, and I find that my marine fish accept it really well. So you don't have to go out of your way to feed these guys. You can see these dudes, look how hungry they are. They love this flake food. They'll eat it all day long, absolutely no problems. So you can actually then use an auto feeder on your clownfish tank, and it makes life a lot simpler. You don't have to have frozen food in your freezer, which puts a lot of people off sometimes. They don't like to have that sort of stuff in their freezer. Not that there's an issue with it, but you know, some people don't. So flake food can be used, and pellets and things like that can be used for clownfish. And do you need to give them specific marine flake? Well, some people would say you do, but I haven't ever gone out of my way to buy specific marine flake for these guys, and they're totally fine. So take that as you will. So these guys saw me feeding their friends over there with that flake, and now they want in on the action. But they're going to wait for me to explain about clownfish types. You might notice that these ones are a completely different colour to the common clown which you just saw, but they are in fact the same species as the common clownfish. They're all ocellaris clownfish. They're tank bred, which is really good because it means they're sustainable. Most, if not all, of the ocellaris clownfish you will have for sale in an aquarium shop will have been tank bred, have never seen the oceans in their lives, which means firstly the oceans haven't been harmed capturing these guys. Fish survival rate is higher when it comes to tank breds. There's no acclimation from the ocean then to a shop to your tank. You know, it's all very good, and their fish are very healthy. But one thing it has meant is that they can be bred into different colour morphs. So these are midnight clowns. They're all black. The ones before that were more your common standard clowns. And the price will depend on the colour morph that you are getting. But there is something you need to take notice of. As well as the ocellaris clowns that you'll get in your aquarium shop, there'll also be different species. There'll be wild caught clowns, and there'll also be other varieties of tank bred clown. So in here we have got a Clarkie clown, and we've got a sea bay clown. You might notice that there's only one per tank, and that's because these clowns aren't as friendly as your common ocellaris clown. These guys are a lot angrier, and I bought them both as pairs a good 3 or 4 years ago, and eventually, unfortunately, the females of both of these pairs have killed their mates. So that's something you need to just watch out for when you're buying your clownfish. If you're new to the hobby, it's probably worthwhile just sticking to your common ocellaris clown, because they don't tend to be too aggressive. They don't tend to murder each other, which the other species of clownfish can do. Things like tomato clowns, Clarkie clowns, sea bays, and so on and so forth. They can be a lot more aggressive, not just to each other, but also to their tank mates. And moving on to tank mates, the common ocellaris clown, what can you keep it with? Well, basically, you can keep it with whatever you like. Now, some people keep clownfish like this in larger groups as well, because in the wild, that's how they operate. They'll have one female, and then they'll have lots and lots of males. If you're going to be doing that, you need to have a lot of them, at least 10 or more, in the same tank, obviously with the right equipment and tank size to support them, and that's fine to do. In a regular old aquarium though, a pair is probably the best shot for you, and you can keep them with practically anything. They're not very aggressive to other fish. One thing you might find, they might host an anemone, they might not. You don't need an anemone. Obviously you can see here they've got access to one, but being how far removed the ocellaris tank bred clownfish is from the wild, I've found that a lot of them don't even know what an anemone is anymore. It's kind of been bred out of their instincts to host one. A lot of people struggle to get them to host one. What you'll probably find is they'll pick a little bit of rock here. You can see just about on this rock here, they've got an area where they're starting to clean it, and that's where they'll lay their eggs if they do breed. And that's kind of the area in my tank where they're sort of territory is around that bit of rock. And that's essentially what you will expect in your aquarium. They'll just hang out in a certain area and defend it. So I'll show you what I mean by defend it. Okay, so clownfish, they're brilliant, aren't they? Well, they are until they get really settled in your aquarium. And then they might start to exhibit some aggressive behaviour. You can see this little clownfish here right now. He's not afraid of me. In fact, he does bite me on occasion. And those occasions are getting closer and closer together. Whenever I'm in the tank, trying to clean the glass or do a water change, he will come over and give me a bite. He's not doing it on camera right now, he's being quite good, but whenever I turn my back, just minding my own business, cleaning my tank, I'll get a bite on my hand. And yes, it does hurt. And yes, when they get a bit bigger, it might be able to draw blood. And this is one of the reasons why I love and hate clownfish, because they're nice in your aquarium, they're good with all other tank mates, and I think they have a nice sort of behaviour and aesthetic in an aquarium. But they can become aggressive little buggers. So that's just something to take note of. You can see him chase me around the tank. It's not curiosity, that is aggression. And it's only going to get worse once they start laying eggs, if they do. Just something to take note of, because it will happen to you after a few years of ownership. I think, as you can appreciate from this video, the common clownfish is a very good pet. As long as you can keep your saltwater aquarium healthy, then these guys are going to live a very long time, and they're going to make for a very interactive and interesting aquatic friend. So, thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please leave a like and also subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Once again, thanks for watching and happy fish keeping.